Try that again.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
Well, all right. You guys heard the question. What if you could get AI to help in your job search if you're a candidate and to help you fill important roles if you are a company looking to hire? Wouldn't that be great? Well, I'm sure Christine has had to hire people before, so let's ask her thoughts on that. Christine.
Yes.
Hiring? So what do you think?
Oh, okay. In all honesty, I think there is some benefit to it. And why do I even say that? I'm pretty sure everybody knows I can be pretty honest. But I worry about, can AI recognize the personal side of individuals in hiring? So, I mean, I'm guessing utilizing it to people, getting people in the door. Yes. Yeah, I guess.
Very interesting. So, every once in a while, I will help a company fill a job role. If they come to me and they say we have a role that needs to be filled. Now I do it for a fee. Don't get me wrong; it's not free. But I actually use AI. So I have this software where I can put the jobs out there on the internet. Candidates will then have video responses to the questions that I ask. And then the AI takes the job application and then transcribes their responses and tries to find a match. That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. So when it's matching, what is it matching up against? Is it matching up against the job description?
Yeah, it's taking the things listed in the job description and then taking the answers to their questions. And hopefully the questions that I asked are in line with the job description, right? And then it's telling me, okay, this person, the job description said you wanted these things. This person said they have these things. So this looks like a match. And it does a pretty good job.
Yeah, you still have the lying aspect of people, though. Especially if they know what I mean, come on. Anytime that I've done it where I've looked at job descriptions and I said, okay, this is what they're looking for. Does this apply to me? And then I make sure that my resume mentions it. Do you know what I'm saying? In case there is something where they're going, yes, tit for tat, this matches and aligns. I can't be the only one that does that.
Of course, but you would have that whether it was AI or not, though, right?
True. So you're just doing it faster.
Right. I'm getting to the lies faster. Now,
yes.
So look, we've got people joining us already. So Karina is here.
Hey, Karina.
Michael is here. Clarence says TGIF. Heather is here from Jacksonville, Florida, and Stephanie is here. So look, I know you guys have had to hire recently. How hard or easy has it been for you all to hire? How hard or easy has it been? And would AI actually help you in the hiring process?
Depends. I think right now the hiring issue is, do you get enough applicants?
What? Do you get enough?
I feel like that's what we're dealing with in the state of Wisconsin. The pool of people, like we're practically, a lot of financial institutions around in the area, like there's like anywhere from 8 to 15 positions open at a time.
Now that's interesting because I think in other parts of the US and maybe other parts of the world, the big problem is too many applicants. Like you can take, let's see if I can pull this up. I might pull up just a random audit job on LinkedIn and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because for a lot of jobs, an hour after they're posted, you see that there are like 3 gazillion applicants for a job. Let's see if I can just pull up a random one and then we'll see what that looks like.
Keep in mind, we do hybrid. We're not remote. So I think that's another thing.
Yeah, that probably is another wrinkle there. But oh, now check this one out. Let's see. All right, Christine, I might mess this up initially. We'll see. Up there we go. Okay, got both of us on the screen here. Although I wanted it on the other side, that's okay. So check out this job right here.
Mm-hmm.
So it was posted 1 day ago, and it has over 100 applicants. Vice President of Internal Audit in the New York City metropolitan area.
What are they requesting? What are they requesting for experience?
Ooh, that's interesting. So it's one of the world's largest banks is looking for a vice president to meet the expectations of their USAO function. Have no idea what that means. Oh, I see now. U.S. Audit Office. They probably should have put that up front, but okay. Um, let's see. Direct other team members. Draft audit findings. Really? Okay. Vice president role. Demonstrate positive influence in managing advanced internal control environment. Effectively manage partnerships and relationships. Adhere to their audit quality assurance methodology. Sounds about right. Base salary 145 to 175. Oh, and apparently I match kinda. I wonder what the 4 skills are that I don't.
Now you're
That
making
I,
me want to check. Which one is
oh, look, 268 applicants, only one in the past day. Now I don't know if everybody doesn't get these statistics. I'm a LinkedIn premium member, so you can see 64 of them were senior level applicants, 55 were director level, 54 VP level, 32 were manager level. 1 to 5 of them were in the Dallas Fort Worth area. 1 to 5 were in the San Francisco Bay Area. But yeah, 121 applicants. Let's just go back over here. Here we are, finance audit professionals. Here's another one. 1 week ago, 47 applicants. Here's a director of controls for a Coca-Cola bottler. 1 week ago, 37 applicants. I mean, that's quite a bit, quite a lot of applicants.
Yeah.
Oh, now somebody has dropped one into the chat that I guess they're thinking I should look at. Let me take a look first before I pull it up on the screen.
Do you see Cerie's comment?
Oh, they put in a job I guess they are trying to hire for. Give me a little context for what you're trying to do here, Marnie, because I mean I don't know you, but heck, if we can plug it, we'll plug it for you. Because it looks like it was posted 5 hours ago and it only has 4 applicants. So
That's still
context,
good.
context. Yeah, that actually is pretty good for only 4 hours. Yeah, yeah. Now, Shri says 3 gazillion. Now, LinkedIn has a feature for job seekers to use AI to look for jobs. Yeah, I forgot about that. So that is, they do have that new feature. So now this is a good point. This is a good point. Those aren't all applicants. LinkedIn calls anyone who clicks on the listing an applicant. Now that's close to true. If you click on the apply button right here, then they consider you an applicant. But the other thing that they do too, though, is they come back and they'll ask you, did you apply to this job? Yes or no. So that's their way of trying to clean that up. So yeah, if you click that apply button, but if you save it, they don't count you as an applicant. But if you click on the apply button, yeah, they do count you as an applicant. So that's a really good point. Now, Heather says the remote thing is not helping those of us in Florida. Too many people out of state vying for your jobs. Yeah, that is very true. Very true. Now, Marnie is saying it's an information technology auditor role. I'll show it to people later, Marnie. But yeah.
Start looking at because it's also important, like if you get in and have an application, or not an application, an interview, be prepared to ask those questions. So take a look at all the previous positions you had, the things that you didn't like, and try to word your questions for that new company to see if you can filter out, is this a change that I want to go through?
Right. Now, Stephanie makes a good point. She says that, well, yeah, but she clicks on the apply button to see more job info. So these
Yeah.
numbers might be a little high, right? And Clarence says many are looking for high salary. Well, why would I not? You're right, Clarence, but why would I not be looking for a high salary? But this just brings us to a very, very, very important point, though. You know, a lot of the data could be skewed,
Hmm.
but we probably do have a lot of people who spray and pray, right? They just put the job application out there, even if they're just barely qualified for it. And what that does is that creates a strain on hiring managers. I mean, it becomes very painful to sift through all of the applications.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine actually getting, let's say out of those hundreds of, let's say you got 50 applicants. That's a lot to still sift through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of people to sift through. So you know what? I think that that's why we should be fortunate that there's this company out there called Junco, because Junco, their website says where silver medalists are matched with golden opportunities. And what they are or were was a platform that purported to do quite a few things uh, in the recruiting space. So let's talk about this platform, because this platform, this platform purported to connect applicant tracking systems within companies to their system so that you could identify pre-qualified candidates. And now, if those candidates didn't get a job with the first company they applied to, it would then
Mhm.
go out to other jobs connected in their system and funnel those applicants to those jobs too. So that's pretty good, right? And they also claim that they were dealing with many of the Fortune 500 companies. So they had the in with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. And if you didn't get a job, they could recommend you to other jobs that were in their database. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
It does. I definitely think it does, especially if you're a person like, didn't we just recently have a lot of those like IT layoffs and stuff that there were a
Yeah.
lot of qualified people and all of a sudden they're like, okay, what am I supposed to do? So as they're sitting there and searching and submitting applications, heck yeah, would you not want to sign up for a service for this and saying, here I am, look at what I've got, find me something? Because I'm guessing the people that were submitting probably weren't paying for the service. It would have been the companies that would be on their platform.
Yeah. And then this platform had a different slant to it too. It was supposed to be designed to help companies hire diverse candidates. So I guess it was helping to fulfill some sort of diversity, equity, and inclusion
Mhm.
initiative.
Which I
So
don't think is bad either. Sorry. Because I think that isn't one of the newer risks or areas that a lot of companies, especially larger ones, are looking at is ensuring that they do have a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what's the best way of doing that but having a third party look at your hiring practices?
ooh, now that does create a level of separation and independence that's pretty cool.
Right.
Now, Stephanie says, I think it leads to more and more using AI or other programs to sort apps, making it even more important that your resume is tailored for those programs and filters, which is interesting too, because more and more people may actually use AI to write their resumes. So that could be interesting. And then Marnie says, our recruiters say only 50% of applicants actually demonstrate they meet the minimum requirements. And you know, it also leads to this overload too, because let's just be real. Once you get a pool of about a good 30 candidates, you really, your efforts aren't as gung ho as they once were, because you're too busy sorting through those to pick out the ones that are pretty decent. So it's almost like the first to apply will be the first to get called back too. So that's the other part that's kind of bad, because you're really not necessarily getting the best candidates, you're getting the first candidates.
Right. The flip side on this as well, I do see a benefit for this, even for those Fortune 500 companies, right? Because what I know this happened on the government side that I had is it wasn't the hiring managers that went through the applications. It was HR. So it was somebody taking a scripted job description of what they're looking for, trying to apply it cohesively against a big group of resumes to see who the best person is. And it wasn't that hiring manager looking at these individually and going, oh, I never would have thought of that as being a potential benefit for this position. I want to bring them in for an interview. So think about how many of those applicants were overlooked with experience that didn't align exactly with a job description. So I think this AI would help those HR individuals at those larger companies identify some of those potential applicants as well.
Well, and especially for us as auditors, because here's what I've seen. I've seen HR people pass on really good candidates because they weren't CPAs. Now, we all know that you don't need a CPA license to be an internal auditor. And even if it says preferred qualification, you could be a CIA or not even a CIA and just have lots of years of experience and still be a really good candidate. I worked for one company where the HR generalist would sort through the resumes for you, but I was so impressed because what they did was they came and interviewed us and they asked us questions like that. What makes a good candidate? And then they would write it down. And then they would ask, if they don't have this certification, what other skills would you like to see that so that we don't pass up good candidates? This is a company I worked for in the early 2000s, and they were on it. Their HR people would come and interview you just to make sure that they knew how to source the right candidate for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's been plenty of jobs where I've had to answer questions, type up responses to 12, 15 questions and submit it before they would even look at you. So you submit your resume, then they're like, okay, we like what's going on here. Have these responses to us. So, I mean, there's many different ways of doing applications and looking at potential candidates.
Absolutely. So Marnie agrees with you. She says that's right. Our HR staffing team members are the first folks to review resumes to ensure they meet minimum quals. What's funny is I've worked in a few roles, one where, some where I was the first person to touch applications and I hated it because you get bogged down, right? And another where HR touched them first and I kind of hated that too because you want to see all of them now because you're curious. Uh, and then Clarence says that happens all the time, and good people are missed that way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I also agree with Marsha. So if you don't have the minimum requirements and you have the experience and would be a good fit, you get kicked to the sidelines. Yeah, it really happens. It does happen. Now, here's another part that's kind of interesting. So this company that we were talking about, though, they said that they had. Uh-oh. They said that they had as clients Regions Bank, Adidas, Nike, um, a few others, PayPal, and you see all of them listed here. So they claim to have quite a few people on their client list. Intuit, American Express. Look at that.
And I understand, however, I don't know. Like, I honestly would sit here and think sports places, like sports companies like Adidas and Nike, I don't think it would be hard for them to find people to fill positions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would sit here and think there's people that are like, I would love to work for Nike doing this. Maybe I'm blind to that.
Well, here's what I want to ask everyone listening. Have you, and to you too, Christine, have you ever heard of this company before, Junco? And I'm probably not saying it right, but you've never heard of it?
No, but I mean, when I've had a position in management where I've expanded our team, and this is probably going to sound so weird because I've been in the financial industry for 20 some years, 2 people. I've had to hire 2 people that where it was like my direct responsibility.
Well, yeah. So I had never heard of the company either. And it looks like Heather has never heard of them. And Heather, you work for a recruiting firm, don't you? I think you do. You used to, but I think you still work for the recruiting firm. Karina's never heard of it. So, I mean, just because none of us have never heard of it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't a viable entity doing good things in the world. Unfortunately, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged the CEO and founder of the organization with defrauding investors of at least $21 million by making false and misleading statements about the quantity and quality of their customers, and also the number of candidates on the platform, and finally, the company's revenue.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
It?
Yes. I guess to me, that's a lot of money when what she lied about is that she had more than 100 customers. Like, how much are these companies paying for this AI platform? Or was it that money was in addition to help the expansion?
So we'll talk about that in just 1 minute. Let's get there. So from 2018, at least 2018 to 2023, she made repeated material misrepresentations to investors. See, it's to investors about the business. And so let's give some examples, because in reality, the platform didn't perform the way that she claimed it did. At most, they had a few dozen paying customers, and it lacked any business relationships with the Fortune 500, although she said that she had these relationships with the Fortune 500. But by early 2023, she helped them to raise the $21 million from at least 27 different investors. And to give an example, she provided investors with fake customer contracts that she forged using names of employees that she purported to be clients. She also created and disseminated potential investors false or falsified bank statements and customer lists.
God, that's a lot. Like, I'm just sitting here and thinking, like, how could you have figured that out? A simple phone call to Nike?
I think I think one of the, you mean like beforehand? Because let's get to the point where we start talking about preventive controls. Yeah, but how many people really would do that? Because I mean, you got to think. So first, she was, I guess, a private startup, and she sought investors, and she went through a few rounds of getting money from investors. And when people invest in these organizations, they're taking a chance too. And some of it is based on validating, right? Trust but verify, or just verify. And then some of it is based on trust. Some of it is based on your reputation in the industry and things like that. Because if we look at Shark Tank, right? What are they doing now? They're just saying, Mr. Wonderful is behind this, so you should buy it too. And as consumers, we're kind of buying it. And it's similar with investors that he might approach. He might say, hey, I've got this good deal for you all. And so let's talk about the rounds of investment that she had. So, or at least the three investors that are really upset right now. Investor A is a large venture capital and private equity firm that invests in technology, software, internet businesses, etc. Around June of 2022, they invested $12 million in a Series B offering. Investor B is a venture capital firm that invests in impact startup companies. In other words, startup companies that pitch themselves as offering market and social equity growth. Now, this investor invested $1.5 million from 2017 to 2022. So they continued to invest over a period of time. And now investor C. Investor C is a venture capital firm that invests in early stage companies, and they invested at least $8 million from 2021 through 2022, including in the Series B offering. So, um,
So I
yeah,
guess here's my thing. It's these investors, it's not like she's got 300 investors that are on here. She's got three pretty big investors. So if you're, I guess I sit here and think to myself, if she's stating that she's got Fortune 500 companies on her list, and there's 100 different companies that are using this platform, somebody from investor A, investor B, investor C, would they not know at least one company on that list that would be utilizing the platform to get, and I'm talking about it as in looking at it and calling them and saying, hey, is this benefiting you guys? Are you getting what you're paying for? Is this a platform that's working for you? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Should we invest in it to make it better for you?
yeah,
Is
you would
anything
think
preemptive?
so.
Or, I mean,
No, I think you're right, but let's go back to what Kelly Paxton always says: trust is not a control, right?
mhm,
Because let's think about this too. So I think a big part of what she was able to do was she was able to leverage a quote unquote good cause
mhm,
and
yeah,
pull on people's heartstrings and get them to forego some of the due diligence that they may have used initially. Because she did it under the veil of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is how we can help companies do this and that. And I believe that was probably a part of it.
yeah. No, I can definitely see it. Um, it's just especially with investor B and investor C, they're a venture capital firm that invests in early stage companies. What is your
Surely they would have a due diligence team. Yeah.
right? Like what are you looking at? What are you double checking? Or I am also kind of sitting here and looking like investor B was 1.5 million, right? For them, that could just be a drop in the bucket. That's a, hey, let's go ahead and see what works with this. That is fully possible too, that they have certain levels of due diligence depending upon how much they're wanting to invest in a startup.
Well, and then
That is
some could
possible.
have been based, yeah, some of it could have been based on her relationships too, because think about early investors in Facebook. I mean,
Yeah.
they knew Mark, and so they made the investment. But then also think about Elizabeth Holmes. She was able to raise a lot of money until she wasn't. So then that kind of goes into our greed. Because if you invest a small amount of money and you get a big return, so there's a little bit of greed there too. And Stephanie brings up another good point. Oh wow, I don't know why it's not doing there we go. That's why I like to connect with internal recruiters on LinkedIn for companies I'm interested in working for in the future and ask for a call, even without job posting, to ask about the company, the department, etc. That's how I got my current job. That's awesome. The recruiter reached out to me and asked me to apply when the job came up. And then Marsha says, huh, Marsha says, I once got an email from a prominent recruiting firm about a job, and it was laced with typos. So I called the company and found out it was fraudulent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a gentleman that I used to work with. He just posted, side, I hope this post would be announcing my new job offer. Instead, I'm posting to a warning to my fellow copywriters, editors, proofreaders. It was a scam. He didn't fall for it. He didn't lose any
Mm.
information because he said, thanks to my 20 plus years in the financial services industry, he's got a inherently distrustful nature. Um, so he reposted all the information on who was trying. So FYI, if anybody has any copywriter, editor, proofreading positions out there, send me a message and I'll pass it along to Greg. He's a great guy. I worked with him for almost a decade. He's a really great guy. Worked in marketing and stuff. So I'll put in a plug for him.
Oh, nice. Whew, okay, so Hmm.
Yeah.
So, on top of the money, she knowingly or recklessly made material misrepresentations to solicit potential investors, including in the Series A offering and Series B offering. For example, she repeatedly lied about the quantity and quality of their customer base, fabricated
Mhm.
testimonials from fake customers too, and falsely inflated their revenue and the number of job candidates using the platform. Also, misrepresented the technological capabilities and effectiveness of the platform and tried to conceal her fraud by providing investors with fake bank statements and contracts. And I think I said most of that before, except for the part about um, fake testimonials. So she gave fake testimonials too. So that's back to the point you asked earlier. Apparently, she did have testimonials from certain companies, but they were fake.
Yeah.
You want to hear some
Yeah.
of the testimonials?
What?
You want to hear some of the testimonials?
Mhm. Of course.
Okay. So one of them stated Junko has been immeasurably effective in helping our team attract more diverse candidates by bringing them directly to our recruiters and keeping track of our hiring progress while advancing these candidates. Now, another fake testimonial said diversity is at the heart of our culture, and Junko helped us turn this aspiration to a successful reality. And then another one said, I love the fact that they don't need another dashboard, that I don't need another dashboard, and that relevant candidates are simply flowing into our applicant tracking system, saving me so much time on sourcing. Because of Junko, I was able to get back to what really matters, the hiring of great talent.
I mean, let's see. Looking at the reviews. Now I'm looking at the trying to get into the Glassdoor reviews.
Ooh, I didn't even see those.
Company works to make a difference. Cons pays as too low, no room for growth. I want to filter by lowest rating. Let's do that. Oh, I don't know if it'll let me because, like, apparently I don't have an account and I am not filling in, so it's not letting me. I'm not signing up for Glassdoor and looking at things. I'm not adding a reviewer salary to Glassdoor. Sorry.
Right, right.
3.8. They have a 3.8 on Glassdoor. If anybody wants to look at that. Wow, I thought I was really going to be able to get some good stuff too.
So now in November of 2019, in an email to one investor, she said that they had more than 40,000 candidates in its talent pool.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
But keep in mind too, because where did they work out of? Didn't she say that they
Uh,
had like 3 main locations? Like I think one was in New York. Oh, it's Delaware Corporation with offices in New York, Tel Aviv, and at one time Birmingham, Alabama.
now
So
that's
then
an
I guess,
odd one. Birmingham. Like,
yeah, I guess, yeah. Maybe it was just cheaper to operate out of Birmingham instead
yeah,
of
I mean,
like
I
Georgia.
get Delaware because that's where a lot of corporations are incorporated because of the tax advantages and things like that. And I get New York because I think she lived in New York. I get Tel Aviv because she was from Israel. But Birmingham, that's a very interesting one. Now, they also said they claimed that they had the U.S.'s largest pool of qualified underrepresented candidates. I don't even know what that really means, but okay. Um,
How can you quantify that?
I don't know.
I mean, could somebody have sat there and been like, that's a false claim? That's a false advertisement if you can't quantify it? Sorry. I guess that's
You're
like your
probably
local hamburger chain saying we have the world's greatest cheeseburger.
right. Yeah, who's gonna really judge that? Yeah, yeah. They said that in February of 2022, she claimed that they had 185,000 active monthly candidates on its platform. And at that point, that's a lot. You're approaching like back when Monster first started, right? You're approaching its growth numbers, and so a lot of people should have known about it at that point.
Ooh, okay. So here's my question to you. And you might not know because I don't know. Is it possible that she could have paid a third party for this type of data? So think she bought data of employment, like our job history off of LinkedIn. She paid LinkedIn for a one-time data upload of everybody's information, and then she was just counting that on the platform. Like, is that a possibility?
I think she just lied.
Yeah, true. But like now I'm sitting here going, do I have to worry about somebody selling that off?
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. Almost like the one company, Frank,
Mhm.
that had the student loan platform where a majority of the users weren't actually they were fake users that they loaded in, which may have been real people but not real users of the platform. I get what you're saying. I think she may have just lied because apparently she didn't give away the data at all. They confronted her before they anybody took a look at it, and she immediately stepped down. So and like for example, in 2021, she falsely claimed that they had an annual recurring revenue, in other words, money brought in from subscriptions of $520,000, and it was going to increase to over $2 million. Uh, wait, no, yeah, through the end of 2021, she was projecting that that their revenue would increase to over $2 million. So it was projected to increase from 520,000 to over $2 million by the end of 2021.
Says that she's got a LinkedIn profile, or she had one.
Yeah, I
As of June 28th, 2023, listed several Fortune 500 companies as part of Junko's customer base.
yeah. Marsha said she was just good at maybe she was just great at make believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's really interesting because we see this a lot. Um, Even when you look at Elizabeth Holmes, people get stuck in a pickle and they think that what they're fighting for is the greater good. And if they can just figure something out for now, they'll be able to fix it on the back end, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you read recently that Elizabeth Holmes is trying to appeal her conviction. Uh-oh, Christine is Googling it. She's like, wait a minute, let me take a look at this. But yeah, she is appealing her conviction. And if you read and if you look at it, you to a certain extent you feel sorry for her on one point because there's a little bit or a lot of delusion going on in her head. And you can tell that she was thinking, if I can just get this to working, I can just stop defrauding people and lying to people. But that's kind of not how it works, you know?
I know. I don't feel bad. I understand that she might be a little delulu in a lot of this stuff, but at some point, like, so it's almost like the thing of, how sometimes when people want, instead of like pleading guilty for murder or whatever, their attorney's like, okay, we'll get you off on you're not of sound mind or whatever, right? Is she like I'm sitting here going, is she just playing? Is she just playing this character thinking that everybody's gonna feel bad or be like, oh, she is Delulu? I don't know. I'm just more worried. I'm more worried because I know where AI is coming in our future. And this is just going to get worse fast because of how fast AI is constantly changing every single day. We just talked about this with some of the leaders at my company, and they're estimating that AI is literally going to take the growth in technology that we had in the last 30 years, we're going to see in the next 5 to 10.
For sure.
And just think about how much we've had to learn with technology, computers, cell phones. I mean, I bet you the majority of us still only use 15 to 20% of the capabilities on our cell phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how big of a turnaround that is. So,
here's something else I'm wondering in this particular case. I'm really wondering, where did the money go? Because a lot of times when you read the court documents and such, they will say the person forfeited X number of dollars in assets, or you'll see that they went and bought a bunch of stuff. I really do think she was using the money to run the business, and she thought it was going to make some money, because I can't see where she lived extravagantly or anything. Maybe that'll come out at some point later, but they ended up shutting down and shutting down the company, the website, and everything. But presumably the employees got paid, at least up until they didn't. So I'm guessing that they used the money to actually fund operations, and she simply couldn't get enough clients to sustain her cost to do business.
yeah, because I have not been able to find what she spent that on.
Yeah.
And when she did file for Chapter 11, she was planning to distribute the remaining $4.25 million to investors.
There you go. So of the 22, she had 4 left. Yeah.
Yeah. So where did it go? I mean, I'm guessing if she was paying for IT people to actually, I mean, we don't even know if there was a platform outside of the website.
Yeah. But that's been my guess, is that she was paying to actually run the business. That's my halfway educated guess. I don't know what you guys think in the chat that are still with us and listening, but what do you think? By the way, if you like this episode, tune in weekly. We are here every Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you really, really like us, tell your friends so that they can come on board too. And something really interesting. So I tried this once before and it was an epic fail because I screwed it up. But I think I've gotten it figured out this time. In the next few weeks, we'll be able to live stream this directly from my website. And those of us who are on my website actually get CPE certificates right after the show is over, once you answer a few polling questions. So I tried it one time before, and Clarence was gracious enough to be one of my volunteers. I had a handful of volunteers, and they could see me, but they couldn't hear me because all the tech, I'm running all the tech behind the scenes, and I hooked something up wrong, and I screwed it up. And so I said, we're not going to try this again for a little while. And this time I think I may have it, but it's going to take me a few weeks to build it out. And so that same thing will apply to my other podcast, Audit Bites, which happens every other week on Tuesdays at 11:15 a.m. Central Standard Time on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And if you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Marsha says, I need to hire some help. Marsha, I need sponsors for the podcast so that I can hire some help. Right?
What do we need to do to get you sponsors, Rob?
I don't know. That's a good question. They just need to call me.
You think June Cole will sponsor
you? Yeah. That was so wrong.
You'll cut them a break. You only need $4 million.
I mean, you know what? I could just say Nike is a sponsor. Never mind. That was a bad joke.
Yeah, what do we do to get you some sponsors?
Yeah, I know, right? So Thomas is advertised on a few episodes, but then Marsha's saying, so partner with some huge audit firms. Yeah, I'm too small for them. I'm too small.
Oh, but you also do consulting.
Right. I know. But yeah, I mean, and you'll see sometimes I will sponsor it, right? And I'll say, go buy my book, or if you need a trainer, bring me in to train your entire organization, stuff like that. But
just found something else on our story. A group of prominent DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion angel investors also participated. So you were right. You were right on that. It was
Yeah.
we need to make this more known. Yeah.
Look, I've got my cheering squad here, and I'm glad because I need the encouragement. Marsha's like, you're not too small for them. Just ask. It's either a yes or a maybe, or yeah. I have asked a few, but it's been a while. So you're right. It's probably time to revisit it because just because you got a no in the past doesn't mean that that's still a no. And actually, the other podcast, Audit Bites, it's like just gangbusters. It is international. It gets really good downloads in hundreds of other, not hundred, in many other countries. It's so anyway, yeah.
No, what you need to do is you need to come up with your pre-slogan on what you're going to say and sell it to them. So an example is for your audit bites, be like, speaking of audit bites, whenever you get hungry, bite into a Snickers. That's what you got to do. You got to like practically hand them the material, and then they'll just start writing checks.
You're right. Marsha says maybe time is right now. You're right. And I think too, and so those, well, without getting on a tangent, those sponsorships come in multiple flavors, right? You could do some pre-roll stuff, or they could do something where I say whatever it is. And I think I've gotten better at segueing into and saying, and today, this episode is sponsored by, whoever. But if you
Friday
are
Fraudsters.
right, but if you are just joining us,
TGI Fridays.
Look, you know what's funny? I do think though, like if you're hiring for an audit role, this would be a good place to advertise for it because it's very targeted. But I think too, and this is just a side tangent for anyone who's still listening. I believe that if we want to get the best talent for our audit departments nowadays, you're going to have to do a few things. One, you're going to have to develop a personal brand for at least one person in your department, somebody that is known in the audit profession that people like and gravitate towards. Two, you're going to have to start reaching out to some of those ideal candidates using your personal brand that you've established for your department as a whole or for a few individuals in your department, because the key in the future is going to be to leverage your current network to find good people to come work for you. And it's just the good old word of mouth that we always do, that we've always done. Pick up the phone and call people. Hey, we've been on LinkedIn together for 3 years. I've known you. We've never met in person. We've talked on Zoom calls, but I have this job opening coming up. Why don't you apply for it? And it saves a lot of effort because I swear it has taken me so long to hire for jobs. It's kind of annoying at certain points. And would you rather roll the dice with all the apps coming in, or have a good network of people that you can reach out to for referral, which was the whole purpose of this platform, kind of, but
right.
It wasn't real.
I mean, I do know of some like organizations that, so like an example is like for credit unions, right? They've got CUNA, stuff like that. They've got job boards out there. I don't know if there's any other type of platform that does jobs specific to industries. So like if I was looking for an audit job at a credit union, that would be a place that I could go outside of looking at LinkedIn and stuff. Or is it something? I don't think the IIA has anything. And if they do, it's probably for members only.
They used to have a job board. Heck, I had one that I built on the back end of my website, but it's cumbersome to keep up with. And so now, like I said, I just help companies based on the network that I have. But now Marnie brings up another point. The struggle is to get those subject matter experts to be active on LinkedIn. Marnie, talk to me about my course, Personal Branding for Internal Auditors. Now, here's the deal, though. It's a double-edged sword because you want them to be active, but obviously that being active gives them more exposure. Now, if you have a bad work environment, that exposure could give them a good way to leave you. but it's still the right thing to do. So I remember, so I'll tell you guys, I remember this job I had. I had this one job, best job I ever had though. I was the director of audit for the University of North Florida. That place was phenomenal. Um, and I remember I started posting stuff on Twitter. This was back in the mid 2000s. And I was scheduling stuff on Twitter and I was posting 3 times a day. And this is all I was doing. I was
You told
taking
me this.
news. Yeah, I was taking news stories that were online and I was just scheduling them to post. And so one person at that organization didn't like it. I guess he figured I should be doing something better with my time. And he went and told my boss, Robert is on social media when he should be working. And so my boss called me in, and this is what I liked about my boss. My boss called me in and he said, hey, I hear you're on social media when you should be working during the day. And I said, yes, I am on social media, but not when I should be working. And he looked at me and he said, well, what do you mean? So he was a former lawyer, so he was good at asking questions, right? He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I schedule the post. And what was funny was I said, as a matter of fact, you should see that one probably went out 5 minutes ago, but 5 minutes ago I was in your office. So take a look at my Twitter. So he went and looked at my Twitter and he said, oh, you're right. And around that same time, I had just had an article published in the IIA magazine. And so he said, well, what else are you doing in your profession? And I told him, and he said, wait a minute. So you're actually making us look good. I said, well, that's kind of the whole point. Like, why would I be doing anything like that to make anyone, you or me, look bad? Like that wouldn't make sense. And he said, oh, okay, well, keep on doing what you're doing then. But yeah, some people had gone and told that I was doing things, and I was like, okay, yeah, I am, but I'm scheduling it. And I was also writing like one article a week on my website. Like I got about 100 different articles on my website that I wrote during that time period. I was writing like an article a week or every other week or something like that. And I would schedule those too. And I would post them on Twitter as well. And so somebody just didn't like me and tried to say some nasty stuff. And once he listened and heard the whole story, he was just like, oh, keep doing what you're doing.
So you mean to tell me that you weren't living and breathing this company outside of your scheduled work hours?
You know,
You have time outside of when we pay you? Just kidding.
and it was weird. And then what was funny is a few years later, I had gotten an award. It was something like the top 10 rising stars in internal audit. And that was in 2013, I believe. And so he was just like, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. We like you here. Things are great. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, and here's my question. Even if you were posting those Twitters 3 times a day, that took all of what, 10 or 15 minutes? Do you think your
If
boss
that,
was weird?
yeah, I don't think he would have
You were doing
minded
the
that.
right thing. But it's no different like right now. My company knows I do this every Friday.
Yeah. Well, and see, this was my bigger point though. Think about this. So if your company, if you posted an internal audit job today, people have seen you here. So they've seen how you interact. People who like the way you communicate would really be hitting you up. People who don't like the way you communicate would avoid you like the plague. So to that extent, you're also self-selecting those people who aren't a good fit, and you're attracting people who are a good fit. And the other thing is your company knows that you're doing this because they understand that this makes you and them look good in our profession. This is where it's headed. And companies who can't do this are going to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to retaining, well, first attracting and retaining good talent. Like, for example, if I work for an organization, at least one Friday a month, I would get my whole team together and come and watch this program.
Yep.
Because it's entertaining and it's educational, but it's also networking. And you're doing it with your team together. And then when I start offering CPEs for it, you get CPEs too. So I just don't understand. This is the only, as far as I know, fraud program that broadcasts live. And then Audit Bites is the only audit podcast that broadcasts live. So Trent's podcast is great, and it's not live though. And so is John's Audit 15 Fun. Those are two of my favorite podcasts that I listen to as well, but they aren't live.
Right.
So, it's yeah, I just think the world is different when it comes to employment and the way we operate.
By the way, the opinions expressed on these are that of my own and not my.
Yeah. I should probably put that disclaimer up for guests that I have on. I should probably say it like in the intro or in the beginning so that that's up front and so that I'm helping to protect you all when I bring you on.
I'm just wondering if there's ever been anything I've said that I've never meant to be that I have to worry about. I don't think so. I don't know.
So Karina's yeah, it is a form of edutainment. By the way, if you missed the last episode of Audit Bites, you probably want to catch up to that one because it was a very good one, and I forgot what I titled it. Let me take a look at it now. It was a very, very good episode. You can go to auditbites.com or you can just go over to YouTube and you will find it there. But
by the way, Karina, connect with me. We got to study for your next section of your CIA.
So the last episode of Audit Bites was titled Auditors Should Be Cautious with Assumptions. And you all might like this one because what I did was, I post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and it's just my opinion. I could be right, could be wrong. And oftentimes when I do these podcasts, I'm just kind of testing out my opinions. If someone can show me where I'm really, really wrong about something, I'm willing to learn. But this one thing I posted, somebody decided to be really nasty towards me in the comments. So I just said, okay.
On YouTube?
On LinkedIn. On LinkedIn.
When was this?
I said, well, you'll have to listen to the podcast episode or watch it, better yet. So I said, well, you know what? Let's continue this conversation because I can see how much I can pull out of this person to make his content. And so I pulled out a lot of stuff and I made the entire episode about assumptions because he did a lot of assuming and he was one of our fellow auditors and it was dangerous. Like it was extremely dangerous. If I worked with somebody who had his attitude, I would probably be miserable. So I just broke down some of the verbal and nonverbal things that he did and said and just some warning signs to look out for, whether you're an auditor or an audit client. But yeah, it was very, very interesting. Now, Nikki is saying, I didn't know about this, just found it today. So this is every Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, Nikki. Yeah, it is. I think I may have sent you a request, Nikki, because with some people I go in and I have to do it manually. I send requests to people through LinkedIn, and I usually send out quite a few, but since it's manual, it's not always consistent and all that other good stuff. You see, Karina said she's on it.
Yeah, it's been a while. We need to connect.
Yeah,
I do miss you, Karina.
Heather's even saying it's a good Audit Bites episode this week. It was a good episode. You know what, Christine? Here's what we should do. We should get Karina on to one of the episodes.
Chad would be all for it. I've tried convincing her before.
Well, look. Let's put her on the spot right now.
Commit, Karina. Commit. Next week, Friday.
Commit next Friday, Karina. Next Friday.
You can do it.
Look, I'm horrible. I am horrible. But yeah.
I feel like you need new blood. I'm pretty sure people are probably getting tired of me. You need to get new people on here.
Look, if anybody, they're getting tired of me, Christine. This is episode 148.
Well, at least let me make it to 150 before you replace.
Hey, look, Christine, Marsha wants to connect with you. So
is it not showing up on the thing? It should be. It's Christine Murray, Murray.
Oh, look at this. You see that? Boo.
She's thinking. I've asked her before. I've kind of pushed her and been like, come on. Come on.
You
Thinking
know,
about it.
I think she would be great. After I met her in person, I saw the personality and I was like, yeah, she'd be great. So,
Marsha, are
I'm
you
going to,
connected with Robert on LinkedIn?
yes. And you know what? I appreciate the folks that are over on YouTube. So listen, if you've just joined us today on the Friday Froster, what we talked about was, well, a case where a company um, developed some software that was supposed to help with hiring. However, the software didn't work the way that it was supposed to work, and they lied about the numbers that they have, both the number of applicants in the software and the amount of clients that they had and the revenue that they had. And they had gone through several rounds of investments, and they're saying that it was to the tune of $22 million. Unlike some episodes, we don't know where the money actually went. Speculation. They actually paid employees to run the company. It just wasn't as successful as she thought it would be because we don't see like a lavish lifestyle or anything like that. So
No.
possibly really running the company, maybe.
I mean, we didn't hear about any like purses or cars or Disney vacations or
Or Louis Vuitton teddy bears.
Louis Vuitton teddy bears.
For those of you who don't know, we had one episode where someone actually bought a Louis Vuitton teddy bear. So we went and looked at the price. They range anywhere from like $12,000 to $45,000. And I was thinking, who, like, where's the value in a Louis Vuitton teddy bear? But um, everybody's saying Karina should say yes. She probably logged off now though.
It is the top. It's the bottom of the hour, so you don't know. She could have. She's been doing some work. She's been killing it.
Uh-oh. Peer pressure. Peer.
Yes. Commitment. Put it on your calendar. Block it out.
Put it on your calendar. So here's what I typically do, Karina. I try to send the story early in the week, but most of the times I don't send it to Christine until Thursday.
Hey, I didn't look at the story until like 20 minutes before we had to come on. I've been really busy. I have been really, really busy. And that's okay. I absolutely love it. Do not get me wrong. Robert doesn't sign my paychecks.
Right. But here's what I'll do though. I'll try to get the story to you by Monday, Karina, so that you have time to research. You too, Christine, so that you so that you have time to research it, take a look, and gather your thoughts and opinions and what you want to say and how you want to say it. And then sometime around Thursday, I'll send you the link to go to our backstage area. That's where Christine and I are. And then, you'll probably show up waiting for us. And then I'll show up like 5 minutes before it's time to go. 5 minutes before it's time to go on air. And then we'll push a button and go live. And that's about it. So if that sounds fun to anyone else, let me know. Seriously, because we can rotate co-hosts, because that's what I've been doing for a while. She's gonna hold me to it.
I'm gonna get onto the live here. I'll post it because I tried finding Marsha. If anybody wants to, no pressure. I will post my LinkedIn because I love connecting. I don't really post much. I'm not like Rob. I very seldom.
I mean, I only have a few connections though. Like I like connecting with people, but sometimes you get these strange emails. I get strange emails out of the blue quite often. People just, hey, I need a job. Can you help me? And I'm thinking, dude, I'm sitting here trying to get more clients because I work for myself. Can you help me? You have a job at least. I mean,
I don't have that problem, but in my new position, cold calls are one thing. Cold emailing is killing me Because I'm like, oh, I'll
Right.
just delete it. I'll just delete it. And then like 4 days later, hey, did you get my email? I'd love to connect and like show you a demo, no commitment. And I've just gotten to the point where I email back and say, no, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Done.
I wonder if the JUCO application helped with that. Reduce this.
These are all software people. Hey, try our new
Oh.
platform. Get us over to here.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because you're yeah.
And like there's some of them like, I have nothing to do with our accounts payable. And I'm not giving you somebody else's email. No. Sorry.
Yeah, that used to happen to me when I was chief auditor. All right, all right. So Christine has dropped her LinkedIn into the comments for this live. So Marsha, if you're still here, I know you're on YouTube, but if you go back to the LinkedIn comments, you'll see this. And I do appreciate you guys on YouTube because you actually help boost the channel over there. Tech currently I post over there once a week this show, and then every other week Audit Bites, but I'm working on some new short form content for us too because I'm just having a good time.
Well, my LinkedIn is the only plug that I have. I don't have any books I've written. I don't do any podcasts.
Well, I mean, you're on here with me, so there you go.
I'm
On
your
the
I'm your
Friday
not so,
Fraudster.
yes, I'm your not so special guest, and I am completely okay with that.
You know what? Nobody said anything about the new background.
No, I didn't. I love it.
Nobody cared.
Sponsored by TGI Fridays.
Wink, wink, nod, nod, but not really. You gotta say a brand that's no longer around, so I don't get in trouble. You gotta say like sponsored by TG and Y.
I mean, I know of some that aren't around anymore. Did you guys ever have a Kmart or a Shopko?
Ooh, Kmart. Yeah. Kmart.
Rob's Polo brought to you by Kmart. Oh man.
There might still be one Kmart in existence somewhere, right? Because I don't know if you remember, JC Penney's bought Kmart several years ago and then realized how bad of a deal it was and ended up closing.
There is Kmart online.
Up, see, there you go. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Circuit City.
Radio Shack.
Oh, Radio Shack. Blockbuster. There you go. Nikki, Blockbuster. Eckerd's. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Now, I'm going to say one not many people are going to remember. It's right in line with Eckerd's. Big B Drugs. It was a drugstore primarily in the Southeast way back in the day.
Ooh. Toys R Us.
Yep. Toys ain't us. Now, so listen. Toys R Us. So FAO Schwartz bought the brand name to Toys R Us, and I think they're trying to do a comeback. So I'll tell you what. So several months ago, I was walking in the mall. Hadn't been to a mall in so long. And I saw this sign saying Toys R Us. And I said, oh. I started walking down the mall singing the song. I was like, I got to find this Toys R Us. And so it pointed me to Macy's. And I was like, wait a minute. How is Macy's Toys R Us? So select Macy's have a little corner in them where they have a Toys R Us banner and like a handful of toys. And I was so disappointed.
I'm trying to think if we have that here. I think we do. I don't know. I don't go to the mall very often.
So now, yeah, Heather is right. She said the Toys R Us, they are still online. However, just the nostalgia, right, of walking in the store, trying out the toys, and then not buying them after you've played with them for so long. It's just something about that. I mean, I shouldn't have said that out loud, though, right? There they are right there. Toys R Us. I wanted to be a Toys R Us kid.
But it's so much more fun when you would like bring your kid to Toys R Us and like they would be sitting here going, there's literally just the store for toys.
Yeah. And then you let them play with all the toys for free and wear themselves out, and then you say, "Okay, let's go." I mean, not that I ever did anything like that. I mean,
My kids are too young for Toys R Us. The store closed before they were born.
Oh man.
Sorry.
All right, you guys. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Friday Fraudster. We appreciate all of you. Bring all of your friends each and every Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And Marsha says, Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm sure we all appreciate that too. Christine, any final words?
Have an amazing weekend, everybody. We all earned it.
Got that right. All right, guys, we'll see you all next week.
Take care.